Okay, so I had a good response on my TIE Defender mod that I put up on Reddit, and I had a lot of questions how to do it. This is the LD mod, and this is 7 days on the battery. It's starting to run out, but now you can at least see um, how I put it. I used hot glue, which wasn't really that good of idea. It's kind of messy, and I used some super glue to put the wires on the stand there, and then I just ran them down from the TIE Defender. But it's not really visible from a little bit of distance, and I wanted to see how long the battery would last. But I'm gonna do this again, but this time I got another ship, not a TIE Defender, but an A-Wing, and I'm going to need two LEDs this time, so it's gonna be a little bit more difficult, and it's pretty late. It's 20 minutes, almost past midnight, when I recorded this, and I cut it down a lot. I cut it down, it was like 2 hours. I cut it down to, I think, 9 minutes, 10 minutes. These are the LEDs I'm going to use. It's the red 0603 surface mounted LEDs. It's 2.1 volts. I'm gonna have to use a little resistor this time, and I'm using two of them. The last time I used 3.2 volt blue LEDs, which is these ones, and that went hand in hand with the battery, since the battery is a 3 volt lithium battery. I purchased this at Shell and Company here in Sweden. I'm pretty sure you can find a store that has this or similar. Lithium 3 volts was what I took. It's the CR1220 at Shell and Company if you got the store around. And it fits very well under the stand. So here is a little bit of a close-up on the LEDs. It's actually those small things, they are on a strip. I think that's for surface mounting from a machine in a factory, but you kind of get a strip when you buy this. There is a little bit of plastic cover which kind of pain in the ass to remove, but that's an LED, the little thing there. So we're gonna have to remove that. My voice is kind of giving up on me, and it will fit fine on the engine part. Okay, so there we go. That's an LED. That's how small it is. And on the bottom side you can see where we will have to solder. Normally these are mounted with soldering paste, and which is a little bit easier. You can use a reflow oven, or you can use a heat gun, but I'm going to do hand soldering on these, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. They kind of jump around a lot when you try to take them, and they're a bit tricky to take. I did watch most of this stuff through the camera, so it was a little bit harder. As glue this time I'm not gonna use hot glue, I'm gonna use Carlsson's Universal Klister, which is available here in Sweden at least. It's like hot glue, but it's cold. It's not, you don't need a heat gun, it kinda becomes like hot glue, and it doesn't really damage that you glue on. You can kind of peel it off if you need to redo it. So it's kind of it's a nice mild glue, you can say. The reason why I'm not using super glue is because I'm pretty sure that the super glue will, since super glue melts the plastic to kind of merge it, I'm pretty sure it will melt the LED, and they are pretty sensitive. So I'm not gonna use super glue, even though it's not conductive, or how you say it, it's not leading current. So I saw another guy who did a nice TIE Defender mod after mine there. And he ran the entire wire down. I am actually just using one of the threads inside the wire, so it's pretty thin. I'm gonna run it down from the engine, one on the outside and one on the inside probably. And I'm gonna have to connect the LEDs parallel. So this is a little piece of tape, it's just to kind of keep them in place when I'm gonna solder them, because it's a pain in the ass to solder this little little LEDs. Normally I use a magnifier, but this time I had to use my eye, kind of eyeball them, because the camera was in the way and I couldn't do this through the camera. So they kind of jump around, as I said earlier. You can see here I'm using the green cutting board just to get a little bit better focus. For some reason it seems to get a little bit better focus on small stuff. And then when I place the thread, I put it into position like this here, and the tape kind of helps. And when I got it as I want, I just tap it with my finger pretty fast, like that. And then it's in position, and still have to be kind of careful when soldering it, because it's pretty easy to kind of get it in the way. So I take a little bit of solder there on the soldering iron tip, and then I just tap on there until I get a little bit of a blob there. This is a hair, if you want to compare the thread with a hair. So it's pretty small. And I think here I'm about to solder the second part. Take a little bit of solder on the iron itself, and I think I used flux as well. If you overheat these LEDs, you will actually desolder the other parts. It's a bit hard. Here I put them in a temporary parallel connection just to try them out with my little computer power supply that I'm made into kind of homemade variable power supply. And they worked fine, so I did a Y shape instead, so I will be able to thread them, and tested the glue so that it's not conductive, and it wasn't. Obviously I used a couple of cut off legs from other components to try it out with. I didn't want to mess around with the stuff for the multimeter. Put some more glue on the piece of paper that I can use, and threading it's even harder than threading a needle, threading that little thing. It's a pain in the ass, to be honest, but it's rewarding. And I took a little bit of glue on a stripped wire and kind of dabbed that in there, and then I put the LED in, kind of corrected it a bit. Became a little bit off to the edge there, which I corrected later on. Now I am threading the other piece. I'm doing this in two parts, by the way, if you didn't get that. The first part here is what we see here, basically the top part of the aving, and the second part will be the battery. But here I'm correcting the second LED, and becoming pretty good, I think that's close enough, at least for me. So I should be able to try this out now, and gonna connect my little homemade power supply here. I went with 2 wires for ground and 1 wire for positive, and I'm running the 2 ground wires on the front of the stand and the positive on the back. So I'm setting it to like 2 volts here, I think, and then I have to push the button to actually turn on the power, and there we go. Looks pretty nice in my opinion. I think that's gonna be a pretty cool aving in the end, and yeah, I'm happy so far. The rest is kind of easy. You don't really need to see part 2, but if you want to, that will be up soon. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.